Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about
sex,
love,
magic,
desire,
purpose,
bliss,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves.
This is one of the extra 5 episodes of this season as well, so we know that that's like earmarked as something special. I don't know. I don't like the word significant because there's always a nugget of something in every episode, but somehow this is a standout episode for some reason.
Because we're going to redefine love?
It's perfect. So as we discussed previously in this season, in the very beginning of this season, we discussed why love doesn't completely fit with bliss. And it just has to do with the fact that bliss just demands such great power that love in itself fits under that umbrella as opposed to kind of encompassing all of it.
Love is just a given when you're in bliss, basically.
Love just becomes a given. So the nature of love, as light, right? Because we defined love in the earlier seasons as shining our light for others to see. And that effectively gives us the pathway through and out of our karma and building through our fate, right? Because we can also recognize our fate lines more clearly and follow what is an expression of our heart. And that helps to keep us tied to our purpose. So love serves many purposes. And it also just so happens that love in itself, when it comes to relationship, is quite yummy and pleasant and allows us, when we really want to look at it in the kind of capital LOVE, really helps us be our most expanded selves.
Yeah, the relationships reflect back to your divinity.
Yeah, so love has
so present.
Yeah, so love has served us in many ways up till bliss.
And within bliss, it's not that love goes anywhere; it just sits with it in a different way.
Yeah, it just doesn't as a standalone.
Which we've discussed in previous episodes.
Yeah, so as a standalone, it just doesn't have the same power as bliss.
Bliss is I am the divine, therefore everything is just the divining.
Yeah.
Whereas love is I'm almost connecting to my divinity rather than being my divinity.
Yeah. But because it's always been there since our inception, it's laid within the foundations of our fate. It always remains a part of us. So it's always going to be there's always going to be a piece of it in everything that we do, which I think also brought you some peace.
Yeah, because also for me, when I hear love, it's like then relationships are dying. But actually what we've discussed in the past couple of episodes is that for bliss, it's that you have all those relationships, but they're just more, they're better, they're even greater. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So cool. I'm okay with that then.
Yeah, so it's just a given in our everyday bliss world. It just becomes really, everything just becomes heightened and distinct. So it could never be fully what it is capable of being before bliss. Like it was what it was before bliss, but now with bliss, we get to redefine it, as you said.
And it gets to be something bigger and better.
Love in its fullest expression is still not love as we might think of it, right? Shining
so it's not the shining our light or like extra or like not, it's okay.
Or like love plus or, whatever multiple you want to give it or exponents. Yeah. Because when we're in body, have matter, we're dense. So all the density and our memories, because from our past life or current life and all of its distortions, they all remain in our cellular memory. And so its capacity to run through us as it's meant to become stunted. That's actually why we could never really fully experience it before bliss.
Because it's still being held back.
It's still being distorted.
Even a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because of our wiring.
Obviously, we've been able to, in this lifetime, experience it more than others.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, because if we're working through our karma, if we're working through our karmic undoing process, and we're following our hearts, as you say, and if we're putting all that effort back into ourselves and expanding out our light, we are definitely tapping into love. We're never not working with love. Again, because if we're following our fate, it's there.
But there's more than following your heart, because once you're in the unwritten part of your fate, then it's more than just, I'm lighting the way along the paths that are already written. It's I'm creating totally new ones. So I'm being it's different, it's stronger, it's more powerful.
Precisely. So, you've had lowercase love, you've had uppercase love, you've had love plus, you've had love all caps. If we were here just for oneness and higher consciousness, all the versions of love that we've been able to explore because of our karmic undoing process, because, we've become embedded in our purpose, for all intents and purposes, it should be and would be enough. But this is a season about bliss. So of course we have to take everything and move it forward one step or beyond. Bliss is the one thing that can move us beyond oneness and higher consciousness, and that's what moves us into something deeper and greater. So the new souls are going to be showing us in a generation's time that we require more. And at some point, can you imagine? I mean, bliss is obviously endless because we're not going to max out on bliss, but we're certainly going to get to different stages. And that's the unwritten part. Imagine if you've experienced lowercase love, uppercase love, love,
all
plus,
the loves,
plus, all the loves. Okay. And even if you know that there can be more and it's calling you to step up, be more in your life for yourself, which allows you to share all that self with others. Fuckers, that's why we were talking about service. Anyway, that's calling you forward. That's going to allow you to share yourself with others in the world. And that's the divine power at work. Do you remember in the previous episode, we talked about at the end, it was kind of like the divine being fully present and breathing in and out and the all, you were like, okay, fine. So when we are the divine power at work, it's not just the full presence of the divine as it is being. It's the full breath of that power combined with all the forces and subsequent light that all of the divine's creations bring when we fully source from them. So divine power at work isn't just the full presence of the divine as it's being. Like, oh, here I'm showing up as the divine, right? And everything is just going to emanate if I just stand here fully present. And you're just going to be in awe. Like Moses, like Moses on the mountain or something, I'm
or the most beautiful person in the room.
Like whatever that is, right? It's the full breath of that power combined with all the forces and subsequent light that all of divine's creation bring when we fully source from them.
So it's like being sourced from the earth, the wind, the water, the fire, the people, the insects, the whales, the snow. No? Is that what you mean?
Totally.
So it's like taking
stupid
all...
when you say it, though.
Okay. So you know how in season 12 at the beginning you were talking about magic and the pure form of magic because you're taking everything from all the elements and everything else. It's like that.
But extra.
But more.
But more. But not even plus, but exponentially more.
It's basically all the life force of all the earth running through
all
us.
the things,
Yeah.
But not just of the earth.
So it's like superpower.
It's like superpower, but it's taking all the power of of the universe effectively. And it's all in place. And I was kind of asking them. So I was like, okay, well, what the fuck does that, isn't that kind of what it means to be fully mantled? Because that's how I always understood mantling was effectively just running all of that.
You see, I didn't understand what mantling was. So now I get that.
To mantle is to effectively layer above all the power in which you need. Some people might mantle as in I'm carrying something, but whatever it is, I'm holding this energy. So to be fully mantled with the divine is just to be in full ownership and having that run through you. So I'm kind of isn't it just sort of mantling, but maybe a bit more? And they're it's effectively the mantle, but there's more to it because that combined force and light, it is actually uncontainable. So a mantle is effectively a container. That's the difference. So it's almost like I'm throwing all these things and energies or powers or whatever you want to, however you want to visualize it for yourself, or how you would imagine these guides, whatever, to come through. But you're kind of creating a container for it.
So how does that work within the physical body? If you're uncontainable power, how does that work running through a physical body? Well, it doesn't, because you're holding, all the other physical bodies are holding it with you.
Precisely. It's so
you become more than just your physical body. You become everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's why we have all those bodies. Our physical one is just the one that connects us to this earth plane and each other, right? So imagine you have this uncontainable power. And we're just going to footnote this one, but this is why people's physical bodies are really struggling. And you're going to see this in 2026. So, and this has been going on for years and years, okay? Don't get me wrong. It's not like this is the first time this is happening. Our bodies have been shifting for many years, if not decades now, to adapt to and adopt this new energy. Because again, nothing happens in a silo, and we have been evolving. But the one thing that's been very slow to evolve, in part, as we've acknowledged, is our physical bodies. And rather than allow them to evolve, we keep drugging them. We keep numbing them because we can't handle the discomfort of trying to work through and allow our bodies to heal so they can be stronger and better and work much more harmoniously with our environment. Because what we've been trying to do is protect our physical bodies from our environment, as opposed to working harmoniously with it. Because, we've created such toxic environments outside, and rather than try to heal those or deal with those, or we leave that for other people to deal with, then we just try to put up a wall. Now, a lot of our physical bodies have been waking up and screaming, like, pay attention to me. Can we just at least do a bit better? That's all we need to do, is we just need to do better by them. It's not like we don't all need to go through this like 180 revolution where we're just like, oh my God, I'm healed. We can heal the earth now. That would be ideal. But effectively, we've just been having to really wake up to how much damage we've caused our bodies and try to get into greater harmony. Because we cannot run all of that light. We cannot be fully mantled as the divine if we're hampering our health at the same time and hurting our bodies at the same time. We just can't run that light. Everything just starts to get stuck in various places.
And it's all, again, experience becomes normal. I've made no secret of my issues with my body. The more you become conscious, the more you start listening to it, the more you start just making changes that almost are very natural. And then, I go back and read some theory and I'm like, oh, that's what I did. I didn't even realize. Mm-hmm. And everyone's different. Yeah. And I remember guidance once saying to me, it's not about a certain thing. It's about having your body operating optimally. And that optimally will always... There's always more optimally to get to. Yeah. And no one person or expert is going to be able to tell us what that optimal is. And only we can be experts in our own bodies, but we also have to educate ourselves. We also have to be conscious enough to listen to what our body is trying to tell us as opposed to what a person is interpreting it to say. Yeah. Because not everyone's going to speak our body's language. And it also evolved enough that that it could be very clear, because a lot of how our bodies function has a lot to do with our karmic lives and our karmic lifestyles that we adopted to support the karmic issue. Now, without the karmic issue and the feelings of not good enough underpinning that, we have to be able to kind of come into a new relationship with our bodies. So that is part of our evolution as well. And the moment we can do that is the moment we can really start tuning into, oh, now I understand why I had this flare up. Now I understand why maybe my body can't tolerate this anymore. Because it's funny, when you talk about the divine power at work with all the things that we just discussed, like the snow and the birds, it really is just, for me, find the definition of love doesn't work in the sense of shining your light, because it's not necessarily coming from you anymore. It's source and be sourced. It's coming from outside of you, inside of you, everywhere, because it's all. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're just really fucking in love with everything to the point that it's bigger than love. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what it is for me. Yeah. That's what it means for me. Yeah. So like it almost feels limiting to be like, I'm just following my heart, or I'm just shining my light and moving along my fate. Mm-hmm. It's being in total and utter harmony with everything to the point it brings you to bliss. And it feels like bliss. Yeah.
And at some point, though, even harmony won't feel like enough, because, happiness, it's enough. I'm cool. Everything just kind of runs. It's all good. But remember what we said in a previous episode about bliss and divine power, and when you have skin in the game, how things won't be enough until you can shift it for yourself. And so too will it be everything we feel and experience. So even with harmonizing, it's like if our energies, our power are mismatched, I'm not going to harmonize with that. I'm not going to bring myself to that point. If my environment is too toxic, I won't try to figure out how to harmonize with it.
I'll create a new one.
Exactly. So it's always going to take us to another place. And that's why we had to work with the word and the concept of bliss, because that's going to encompass it all.
Because it's not like love goes anywhere.
It really doesn't.
I remember that really, really bothered me and troubled me for a while. But it stays as love, but it just gets to be encompassed by an even greater power.
Yes.
So it's part of bliss, but it doesn't define bliss, because bliss is just that, it's the word bliss that we imagine bliss to be, which is, I can't feel I can get any higher, because everything in my life is so fucking great, including me, that it's just more than shining, it's glistening. It's, I don't know, you know what I mean?
No, I totally do. And I think it's really, what I love is when they share that love will always lie in its foundation, especially for us who had gone through love and who would always, again, these younger generations, interestingly, they won't necessarily know love. They will only really harmonize it, the bliss vibration and whatever that brings, which will eventually go higher.
So it's like, instead of saying I love you, it's being with you is bliss. This episode is brought to you by Karma Magic Bliss. For more information, resources, and links to our books, check out our website, karmamagicbliss.com, and Karma Magic Bliss across all socials.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.